What's going on, guys? Jacob Worth back here with another video of Jacob's Life in Vegas, coming to you guys today from Summerlin. I'm like right in the heart of downtown Summerlin here. There you see, here on the sidewalk, right outside downtown Summerlin. Actually, if I go this way, you guys can see Red Rock in the distance, the Red Rock Resort and Casino, and you can see the ballpark, and on the other side of the ballpark is where the Golden Knights practice. It's their facility. And then in the distance, you guys can see, it'd be probably kind of tough for you to see. You can see the strip, or at least parts of it. So, beautiful day today. Actually, gonna go hiking out in the Red Rock area right after I finish filming this. So, that should be fun to do. Plenty of cool stuff on the strip to do here in Vegas and around town, but we do have some amazing scenic beauty here I'm gonna take advantage of. So guys, today we're gonna be talking about Las Vegas, and we're gonna be talking about what it is that is really the biggest thing that's hurting Vegas right now in terms of all the different aspects of tourism. Let's think of it like that, okay? This aspect of our tourism being destroyed, and because it truly is destroyed right now. It really is. I mean, it's literally negative 100% from what it was in the past. Because, you know, people come to Vegas and they think of how Vegas makes its money, think of gambling, right? That's been Vegas' reputation for years, as being a gambling mecca. And that obviously is still a huge part of our revenue here, a huge part of the money that comes in here to this area is from gambling. But over recent years, a lot of you know that Vegas has diversified itself for a variety of reasons. One, to not be as dependent on gambling. Two, because lots of younger generations, like millennials, don't gamble as much as older generations. So there's been more money put into things like shopping, more like entertainment venues, right? Millennials love to spend money on experiences. So having more entertainment venues, right? Having, you know, sports stadiums here right now. So having all that stuff. Oh, the guy wanted to say hi, I thought he did. So anyway, Vegas has diversified itself. We have some of the best nightclubs and restaurants, some of the shows you're gonna see. So, but still all of that fits in the niche in the industry of hospitality, of tourism, of travel and things like that. But there's one area that is completely decimated right now because they can't operate and because it depends on companies willing to spend money here for this, and they're not willing to do this right now, is conventions. That is the big one right now here in the Las Vegas area. And I bring that up in this video. I want to talk about how conventions being destroyed right now is really what is hurting this Southern Nevada economy so bad. Because I think a lot of people don't realize how important conventions, conferences, trade shows, all those things are here to Southern Nevada and really to our state of Nevada, to the state economy that we have here, and how much money that brings here into the Las Vegas area. So for all the attention that gambling gets and nightclubs and parties and shows and all that kind of thing, conventions, absolutely massive. And we're gonna jump into that.
MGM Resorts may close some of its properties during the week. That's in order to save money.
CEO Bill Hornbuckle mentioned the idea during an early call Thursday. Final decision has not been made. Hornbuckle also said the Las Vegas market is improving. He believes the city will recover to pre-pandemic levels once conventions, entertainment, and more tourists return.
As you guys saw in that news segment clip, you saw there where, you know, MGM Resort CEO Mr. Hornbuckle was talking about how, you know, they're contemplating closing some of their you know, properties during the weekdays because there's just not enough business in Vegas right now. There's not enough people coming to town. They've mentioned, you know, tourists or more people coming, conventions and shows. Really the biggest one of that, the biggest money maker for a lot of that stems from the conventions being able to come here right now. And you know, guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe because I'm gonna take this conversation talking about conventions and stuff, and I'm gonna actually do a follow-up to this later, talking about something here that could be huge news if it were to happen in Las Vegas on the same kind of subject. So when it comes to conventions, there's some interesting numbers that you guys are probably going to want to hear about, okay? Because a lot of people know that obviously this year, 2020, has not been a normal year in Vegas. But in the past, Vegas would do about 42 million or so visitors. So if you look at last year's numbers for visitors to Las Vegas, we're going to round the numbers here to make it easier. 43 million visitors in 2019. 7 million of those were for conventions to come here. So that's about 16% of the overall people who visited Las Vegas came here for conventions. Now, the only thing with that statistic is that the number 16%, I would say, is a bit misleading because you look at you know, the LVCVA and how they count the numbers here, the links will be down below if you guys want to look at these numbers yourself. But when you look at that data, you look at those facts, you see that they estimate last year in 2019, the average daily auto traffic crossing the California-Nevada border to be right about 45,000 cars, again, or 45,000 vehicles. Again, we're rounding. Now, not all 45,000 of those vehicles coming through here are going to be stopping in Las Vegas and spending money here. Some of them could be on their way to Utah for a trip. Some of them could be for commercial purposes. They're driving through here. They're starting in the West Coast and they're driving way past Vegas on their route or something like that. So, you know, not all those vehicles are going to be stopping in Vegas, but a lot of them aren't. A lot of them are going to have multiple people in them. And a lot of those vehicles that get counted, because if you're coming from Los Angeles and you come to Vegas, you know, once a month, well, your vehicle is going to be in that estimate every single month. So you're actually counting the same person multiple times, which for a lot of people who come here for business purposes, they're coming here for a conference. They're coming here for business purposes and not necessarily Vegas purposes. Now, Vegas does get lots of businesses coming here, lots of conferences, lots of conventions, because we are the best city for it. Okay, we do have some other cities that try to compete with us, and if you ever look online, look like best convention cities, you'll pretty much always see Vegas at or near the top of that list. Now, a lot of people who come here for business, they're coming here because their jobs sent them here, their companies sent them here, or they're here, you know, to grow their business, right? They have clients they're going to meet while they're here. They're trying to gain new clients. They're coming here for the business aspect. Vegas just provides an amazing environment for them. So they're coming here for business purposes. So a lot of the people who come here for a conference, whether they're domestic traveling or international, this also bleeds over to the problem we have right now with, you know, international travelers really not being able to come here for the most part. They come here for the business. They don't necessarily come here for Vegas, but they're obviously going to spend their money wherever the conference is at. So a lot of those people, they come here just for the conference. They come here just for the business, and then they go to dinner after, they go to shows, they go to clubs, right? They do whatever they want for entertainment after that. So it's the business factor that brings those people here. So a lot of those people may just come here for the business, and that's different than people who come here, you know, multiple times a year just for leisure. Plus, business travelers tend to spend more when they are coming here on business. Part of the reason they spend more is, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of them may come here just for business. That's the only reason they come to Vegas, so they'll spend more when they are here. But also, a lot of these businesses, you know, when they send their people here, these are deductions for them. They can write these off on their taxes. You can write off your travel expense, your hotel, you're taking clients out to dinner, stuff like that, your badge, whatever it costs you to get into the show, the trade show, whatever it is you're going to, those, you can deduct all of those as part of your business costs. So you can deduct those in your business costs. Companies paying for you to entertain clients or whatever the case is, so people can, you know, they may want to be a little more lax with their spending when they come here on those business trips. And that helps out every single other aspect of, you know, Vegas travel and hospitality and tourism industry. So people come for the conference, but they stay in the hotels, obviously, they eat in the restaurants, they go to the shows. You know, it's millions and millions and millions of dollars that get spent oftentimes in just one conference, just one big event will bring millions of dollars to town and millions of dollars of revenue here to Southern Nevada. Obviously, the spending here in Las Vegas coming from conventions is a big deal, but people might say, well, yeah, Jacob, you know, whatever, right? Other big cities, Atlanta, you know, Chicago, Orlando, Anaheim, right? Those are all places that have lots of conventions too. Well, that is true. There are a lot of other cities that have conventions, and it makes them millions of dollars as well in revenue. But here in Las Vegas, listen to this statistic. This is how much Vegas is built and centered around conventions. You look online, go on Statista, you can see of the top 10 biggest convention centers in the United States, you take the top 10 by square footage, Las Vegas has 3 of them. We have 3 of the top 10 in the whole country. No other state even has more than 1. No other state has more than 1, and we have 3 right here in one city. So that gives you an idea of how important conventions are to this economy here. And right now, the Las Vegas Convention Center is under expansion. It's the 3rd largest in the country right now. It's going to be the 2nd once it hits 2.5 million square feet once the expansion is done. It's just going to barely be 2nd, right? Or once it's done, it'll just be barely be 2nd. But we still have 2 others that are in the top 10 of the country. And those are just the biggest ones we have here, not including all the other convention space and meeting space and things we have here in Southern Nevada. So, I mean, that shows you how important these conventions are here. That's part of the reason why you see properties like, you know, Wynn and Encore, why they've had to shut down the Encore during the weekdays, and same thing over at Venetian Palazzo, why they've shut down the Palazzo during the weekdays, because those properties right there, they are in prime location in terms of how close they are to the Las Vegas Convention Center. So they're both close to the Convention Center. Venetian Palazzo also have the Sands Expo connected to it. So those properties right there that especially depend on the higher end clientele, that especially depend on the business crowd, right? They go for a little bit higher income clientele than, you know, something like Caesars or MGM, where they're, you know, bigger, they have more property, so they've got a lot more people they cater to. So for those properties to have to shut down during the week tells you something about how much these conventions mean. And for MGM to be thinking about that as well shows that if MGM, any of their properties are about to start joining Palazzo and Encore in terms of shutting down during the weekdays, it shows you how much they're hurting as well. So, you know, for all the things that these casinos and hotels are trying to do to get people to spend money, you know, because they can offer room deals, they can offer deals for gambling, for players. I mean, all kinds of things they can offer to try to incentivize people to come to Vegas. But if there's zero business conventions going on right now, then there's not that much they can do. Like, they're literally, that part of our economy is basically shut down right now. And until companies, you know, until the virus is at a point where companies feel safe sending their staff, sending their people here for big conventions, these casinos, these resorts, and this local economy is going to be struggling big time. That business money is huge here for Southern Nevada. And I mean, I've seen it myself working in nightlife for years. You know, you'd work the weekdays, and the weekdays, you know, you wouldn't be as busy, but sometimes you would get some business guys who would come in for a conference or whatever the case was, and those guys would go in, and sometimes they would wind up spending really well, and that one guy or that one group of guys, or whatever the case was, you know, would wind up making the night for the club. They would wind up having a great night just because of that group. Where on the weekends, you had a lot more people who came up from Los Angeles, or they drove in, or they were just flying in for bachelor party, bachelorette party, you know, things like that for leisure travel, that, you know, you'd get some money from that, but you're usually not going to get big money from that. You get big money when you have certain conferences in town, and, you know, that's really what helps. So like when you have a conference, you know, with conventions, some spend more money, some don't, right? You know, when you get like the tech ones, sometimes those guys spend a lot of money. You'll see when they go out, but the ones who do spend a good chunk of money are in like the construction industry. Like, that's one industry where those guys, after they're out all day working, those guys like to go out at night and have some fun. So, but we don't have that right now. We have none of that right now. We don't have the tech guys, we don't have the construction guys, we don't have any of that right now going on. So once we get that back, once we're able to get that back, Vegas will be in a better place. But I really want to do this to show you guys how important conventions really are here to Southern Nevada. So if you guys have a comment on this, go ahead, throw it down below. I appreciate you guys checking out this video. I'm gonna put another cool video right over here that you guys can check out. That is it for this one. I am Jacob, I'm going hiking, and this is my life in Vegas.